Welcome to Retirement Decoded with your host, Scott Tucker, where we break down the complexities of retirement planning to give you clear, actionable advice. Whether you're just starting out or getting ready to retire, Scott's here to help you make informed decisions and secure your financial future. Tune in each week as we simplify the process and decode the path to a stress-free retirement. Now, here's your host, Scott Tucker.
Welcome to Retirement Decoded, the podcast with yours truly, Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker, and my trusty co-host, as almost darn near all the time, is Associate Advisor Andre Hootie. Say hello, Andre Hootie.
Hello, Andre Hootie.
Andre Hootie, today on the podcast, we have a question from Liz, and Liz has a question. She says, Scott and Andre, I will retire at age 64 later this year. I've been planning to wait to collect Social Security until age 70. Now, that's good. We don't always hear that, Andre.
No, usually we hear the opposite. It's I'm retiring today and filing tomorrow.
or even back, I can't say it. The other way around. So Liz says, Scott and Andre, I will retire at age 64 later this year, and I've been planning to wait to collect Social Security at age 70. That's good. Now, why that's good, Andre? People don't, a lot of times they give us an argument or don't understand, or there's confusion. For most baby boomers, your paycheck should end on one day, and then your Social Security might be best to start a few years down the way.
Yeah. There's some planning in between you might want to do.
And so I didn't read all of her question yet. I've got a few more sentences here to Liz's question. Some folks, most folks that we see, we're in Chicago and we teach workshops throughout the northwest suburbs and that. And probably 90% of the people we see that are baby boomers, 90% of their money saved tax deferred, not tax free. Now, Andre, when money is saved tax deferred, what do I mean by that?
It means that the money you've put into that 401k, IRA, whatever that tax deferred account is, you've never paid taxes on that money, which means at some point Uncle Sam's going to come knocking.
Yeah, so some examples of tax deferred retirement accounts are traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, also known as 457b, TSP, which is Thrift Savings Plan for our federal friends, our federal workers, and then also SEP, Simple, and Keogh. Those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. And so, Liz, if you are, I haven't read all the rest of your question. If you have, say you stop working at 64 and you put off Social Security until 70, putting off the Social Security to 70 can get you a bigger monthly benefit from Social Security retirement. And kind of a rule of thumb is, if I didn't see if you're single or married or whatnot, but say you retire at 64, you put off your Social Security to 70. If you can stick around with us till about age 85, you'll come out ahead doing that. You'll get more from Social Security by filing at 70 if you can live till about age 85. The other thing, Andre, as you know, I'm preaching to the choir. If Liz has tax-deferred retirement funds like IRA, 401k, and the rest, what she might want to do is use some of that money for income in that gap between when she stops working and when she starts Social Security. And we probably are to talk to Liz about some Roth conversions too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's those Roth conversions are going to be really important, and to plan for those and see how much makes sense, when it makes sense. But usually it's not the best idea for people to stop working and file right away. There's opportunity in between.
File for Social Security right away.
Exactly. Yeah, there's opportunity there in between those two timeline points to do some planning.
So, Liz, you stop working at 64. Maybe we take income from tax-deferred retirement accounts like IRA, 401k, and the rest. And maybe we do some Roth conversions year by year between now and age 70. Not specific advice. Your mileage may vary. And a Roth conversion has several tax-related consequences. But then when we get to age 70, Liz, from what I know so far, I haven't read all the rest of your paragraph here, maybe we get to age 70 and now all of our income comes from Roth, which is tax-free, doesn't even go on your 1040. And then the rest of your income comes from your Social Security, which now you could get tax-free. If you just had Roth and Social Security, now you can get all your income tax-free.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to just throw in a little caveat here, because people hear tax-free in all sorts of realms all the time, and Roth is the best option. But something that I've run across with people, and they think it's tax-free and it doesn't affect them in any way, are municipal bonds, because that's how they're marketed, and tax-free. And it sounds great on paper, but what they don't tell you is on the back end, that goes against you in certain calculations when they're looking at it to see if any of your Social Security is going to be taxed.
It's right. On the federal 1040 on line 2A, that's where you put your tax-free interest from tax-free municipal bonds. And the reason why they want that, the IRS wants you to put they already know that you got tax-free that you get tax-free interest, by the way. So make sure you put it on the form. Don't play games with those folks. They can put you in prison, Andre.
Yeah, I heard.
Spending all the papers. So go ahead and on line 2A, you put in your tax-free interest from your municipal bonds. Now, Liz, you didn't tell us if you live in Illinois or not, like we do. But if you're going to use tax-free municipal bonds as an Illinois resident, you need to buy your municipal bonds from the state of Illinois or city of Chicago or county of Cook or whatnot. Andre, are those folks known to be good for handling money?
not since I can remember.
The late, great Will Rogers said, I'm not concerned on the return on my investment. I'm concerned on the return of my investment.
That can ring more true for Illinois.
Chicago Public Schools has been issuing junk bonds for years. And they do, last I checked, they're paying like 8 or 9% interest. But they could go bankrupt at any point, and they could discharge the unsecured creditors, which would be the bondholders. So just be careful with your tax-free muni bonds. Now, Andre, where we were going with that, tax-free municipal bond income on your federal 1040, once you're on Social Security, could be a real problem. Say you're on Social Security when you're 70, Liz, in the future. This is future Liz. On the 1040 on line 2A, you put your tax-free interest from municipal bonds on 2A. The reason why they have you put that there's a calculation called provisional income. And that tax-free interest for municipal bonds can be used to calculate provisional income on your Social Security retirement, and it can cause up to 85% of your Social Security retirement to be federally taxable in your 70s when you're a little old lady didn't hurt nobody. What do you think about that, Andre?
I think it's funny how
sounds anti-grandma to me.
Yeah, seriously, I think it's funny how they always mention that the bonds are tax free, but not that it's going to cause taxes elsewhere. You think
it's
they
like,
do that on purpose?
Andre, you ever buy a box of fat-free cookies? They're fat-free cookies. They don't tell you they're full of like corn syrup and cane sugar or something, and it cause diabetes, as that Wilford Brimley would say.
Yeah,
yeah. Wilford Brimley, if you're listening, get on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. Liz, if you want to get on our phone calendar, it's at tuckerretirement.com, and you can just click and pick a time, and then sometime in the coming week, you'll tell us the time. We have some open times on our phone calendar at tuckerretirement.com. You just click and pick a time and schedule yourself right there at tuckerretirement.com, and they'll get your questions answered, and more importantly, your answers questioned. Then Liz says, Scott, now I'm wondering if I should collect my Social Security retirement earlier and invest the money. Oh, no, Liz. Oh. You're backsliding.
Yeah.
Backsliding, that's what they call that. Andre, have you ever had anybody ask you if they should file their Social Security early and invest the money?
Just about every week.
So, Liz, say instead of at age 70, you file at 64 or 65, you're going to get a lot less money. I can't calculate it just off the top of my head right here. So let's just say you're going to get 25% less money. It's probably more than that, actually. And so to get less money and maybe not only claim too early and get less money, you're locking in a low benefit for the rest of your life. Then also, if you have not yet done your Roth conversions that you probably need to do, not specific advice, but I'm reading your mail here, Liz. Then your Roth conversions can actually cause taxes on your Social Security too. So you could file too early, get too little of a benefit, then do Roth conversions overlapping Social Security reception, we'll say, and that could cause federal income taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security while you're doing the Roth conversions. And so it's less than ideal, right, Andre?
Very much less than ideal.
And then a lot of times people get real bullish. Like if the stock market's high, then people say, well, I can grow this money.
You could have when you were working.
Oh, no, Andre. When I'm saying when people, if the market has done well, they think they can grow this money.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, everybody always thinks it's going to keep going up.
Well, there's two times that people think that kind of way too. Is when you're at the top of when you get it to like all-time highs, people think, well, this thing's just going to the moon, and then they think they can file early on Social Security and out-earn their. Dave Ramsey would call it out-earning your stupidity, which is not very nice. But we all are possibly subject to that sort of thing. The other thing is when there's been a crash and now things look stable again. So whenever there's a big crash, people say, well, the market sold off so much. Now we could file for Social Security too early, put it in the market, and I can make those returns, right?
Well, how do you know it's good?
I've got a crystal ball. Or there's the old Johnny Carson show. I'm dating myself. I'm in my early 50s now. Back in the 80s, Johnny Carson had a skit he did where he had some big. Well, it's probably like racially insensitive now or something. He had a turban. Yeah, it doesn't sound good. It doesn't age well. So in the 80s, Johnny Carson had a turban, and then he would like a headdress type thing, and then he would hold a sealed envelope to his forehead, and he would telepathically read it and try to guess what's inside, and then open the envelope.
How often was he right?
Probably about as right as Liz would be with guessing where the stock market's going. Okay. I don't remember how the skit worked. I think you could find it on the YouTube.
Okay.
I should mention, by the way, we're on the YouTube. You could always go to tuckeryoutube.com. At tuckeryoutube.com, you could get even more insanity from us. Actually, on tuckeryoutube.com, we have some whiteboard kind of workshop-y type classes that just made specifically for YouTube. Easily for you to say. That's at tuckeryoutube.com. No, but now some of the stuff that was on Johnny Carson in the 80s, I'm realizing would probably never get on the air today.
I think there's a lot that's changed in the world.
Is it
not just his show?
I might mispronounce it, but is it the Sikhs? They're generally from not just from India, but I think it's the Sikhs that are generally from India. Mm-hmm. And it's not, if I remember right, it's not Hindu. It's not Muslim. They're mistaken for Muslims sometimes by some people. But I believe the Sikhs are the ones that wear the turbans, and so he was dressed sort of like a Sikh, and he had some weird skit that was racially insensitive in the 80s, and he would try to read mail that was sealed or something. I can't remember. I'll have to show you. I'll find it on the YouTube and I'll show it to you.
Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, to your point, it's that's how it kind of feels when people try and do their own planning. Sometimes they think they can see the future, see the bull market. Last few years, there's a bull market, so it's going to keep going. That's how it's going to go, and it's not the case.
Here's something that might help, Liz. So let's say we see a lot of times. Let's say we see folks that might get, we have some higher earners in Chicagoland where we are, and we're federally licensed. We help people all throughout the United States and all the territories and that stuff. But so say if they, or maybe I'll explain it this way. So Liz, say Social Security would give you $1 at age 70, a full dollar, but at age, let's say 65, they would give you 75 cents, and then at age 62, they would give you 50 cents. Mm-hmm. So let's say age 65, which you'll be here in a minute. At age 65, if they would give you 75 cents, you're telling me you could take that 75 cents and you know that you can out-earn that dollar, what it would be at age 70. You have to be right 5 years in a row.
Yeah.
It's not that easy. Things don't always go up when you want them to. And so I would just be real careful with that. Plus the taxation issue we didn't talk about. Plus, you're going to lock in a low benefit. Andre, right? Her benefit at age 65, let's say, versus age 70, she'd be locking in a low benefit for the rest of her life.
Yeah. It's it kind of sneaks up on you. It's you can't always just out earn the market. So you have to be smart about it.
We're awful mean to Liz, aren't we, Andre? Killing the dreams.
Well, something I did want to mention. So Liz, on YouTube, I know this is hard to kind of conceptualize, but Scott mentioned there is a YouTube video that goes over this a little bit more if you wanted to see this visually.
I think it's 18 minutes long, Andre, but it's just like going to a Social Security workshop.
Exactly. Well, so you can pause it.
So Liz, if you go to tuckeryoutube.com, it'll take you right to our YouTube channel, tuckeryoutube.com, and there will be one of the videos will be just on Social Security. When should I file for Social Security?
Yeah.
So there you go. She says, Scott, could the amount I'm eligible for at age 70 be reduced before age 70? I don't know what she means there. I wonder if she's thinking about the trust fund or whatnot. I know anything is possible in the current environment, but what would you do in this situation? I would wait until age 70 to file.
Yeah, if at all possible, I would wait too.
Liz, if you were 62 and they told you had 8 years to live or 10 years to live, or if they thought you had a short life expectancy, I would file at 62.
Yeah,
I would have to have like stage 4 or something probably for me to make that decision. I think Andre, we've had clients. We have a client that he had stage 4 colon cancer, and he beat it. So even if I was stage 4 or something, I would think twice. And he has a wife that if he were to file, he was the higher earner, or is the higher. Well, he retired and he got unretired. He got bored, so he got a job at Costco.
We hear that quite a bit, actually.
I think we have an entire Costco full of our clients. Not a specific endorsement, not related to Costco.
But people love it there.
It's amazing how people retire and get unretired because they're just bored silly.
You can't beat the food court.
The food court, yes, the food court. Or the half court, if you can shoot from the half court. Mm-hmm. So what would I do in that situation? There's a saying, some people get stage 4 diagnosis and they beat it. And the gentleman that we're thinking of, he beat it and he's a higher earner, meaning that he has the higher Social Security benefit. If he had gotten the stage 4 and filed at 62, he would have screwed up. If he would have passed away, he would have screwed up his surviving spouse's Social Security benefits, because he would have put an artificial cap or a permanent cap on the larger check that his surviving wife would get when he was gone.
Yeah.
But then he went and beat the stage 4, and then he went into retirement, and he beat the retirement and went back to Costco.
Yeah.
So now here he is. He didn't think he'd be here. Now he's in cleanup in L3.
Yeah.
Nobody. Well, I don't get specific on what his job is there, but he has a cool job that kind of aligns with what his career was. He just works when he wants to. Andre, a lot of people only work when they want to. That's the problem nowadays. I know he's a hard worker, but he shouldn't be hard working because he's retirement age.
Yeah,
he's enjoying himself.
You should enjoy yourself, but it's we hear that all the time. People retired and then they just get bored, and it's more of a social thing than a financial thing for them. At that point.
Some people can retire and stay retired. My mom's like that, where she can just fill a day with nothing. I don't know how she comes up with all the stuff. Her and her husband both they're like that. My uncle, her brother, my uncle is 2 years younger than my mom. He's 75, and he got so bored in retirement. His wife's younger than him. I think she's like 58. He's not on his first wife. So he's 75. He acts a lot younger than 75. And then she's like 58. And so he retired for a minute, and it didn't stick, and he went back into doing stuff. And he is a general contractor. He sells and constructs steel buildings in southern Michigan.
Well, nothing's going to keep him from moving. He's restless. From what I've heard.
That's my Uncle Mike. He's one of his things he did a few years ago. He went on eBay and he bought a giant clamshell, and I mean a giant clamshell, like 4 foot diameter.
Oh my God, they exist.
Yeah. So he went to, when he was this is the trouble you get into when you retire. He went to an estate sale in southern Michigan. It might have been in Mason, Michigan, or something like that area, kind of in the Lansing, Jackson area. And so he went to an estate sale, and so there's all this stuff that the family just wants gone, and they had an auctioneer auctioning off stuff. And so he spots this clamshell. He's kind of looking on his phone. What are these things worth and stuff? And he kind of is speculating, kind of doesn't know. At the time, he had he changes trucks every so often. He's always buying and selling.
Yeah, he's got the green thumb.
A 2 or 3 year old truck. He'll buy it, drive it, sell it. Everything he buys, he gets a good deal on, and he always sells it for more than he paid for it.
I just say
with higher miles.
We should hire him.
I know he ought to just come over here. I don't know. We'd end up with a parking lot full of trucks.
Yeah, probably.
So he went to an estate sale, and I think at the time he had a Chevy Silverado 2500 diesel. I could still picture it now. It was a white truck. And so he went to this estate sale, and he spotted this like 4 foot diameter clamshell like they have in Key West. It's like you'd have in Key West, like displayed in a restaurant or something, right? And it was in a crate. It still had his packing material around it, but it was like kind of like in a 2x4 type of crate, so you could still see what it was.
Okay.
So this guy that had passed away, he had bought all this random stuff, and he had a pole barn, which is kind of like it's like a Michigan word for a detached garage that's big enough to hold like a tractor and a lawnmower and an old car and a this and a that.
Gotcha.
And the thing is, people buy them and they put their antique, their muscle car in there, or they put this car in there, or that car in there. Mm-hmm. Then you got to worry about mice and stuff too, but chewing on your wires and whatever. But in this guy's pole barn, one of the items that he had accumulated, this guy must have had some, a fair amount of money. He squirreled away some stuff over the time, and then bought things that he never ended up using,
like a shell,
a 4 foot diameter giant clam, and it was still in the packing material from wherever he got it from. It was in his pole barn. So this auction was going on. This estate sale auction is going on for like 4 hours, and this is one of the last items. And then so he's like, oh wait, they still haven't sold that thing. And he's got his diesel pickup truck where he could fit that in there. And then somebody else came there like in a Subaru wagon, right?
Oh, right.
So he's like looking at what cars are still there and who's still there to bid on stuff. And they opened the bidding at like $25. And he had already looked up, it was worth like $3,500.
Oh wow.
But the problem is it's like a couple 100 pounds and it's in a giant crate. They go, opening bid $25, and he's like, 25. He's not interested. He's like, okay, 25. Mm-hmm. There's one other bidder left. The guy goes, $30. And this is probably a guy who's got like a Subaru Outback that can't even take it home if you wanted to. Yeah. And they want the stuff gone yesterday. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, I don't know. Okay, I'll go to 35. That's my final. I don't know. I mean, and he sees the other guy couldn't handle it if he had to because vehicle wise and he doesn't have any help. He goes, 35, that's as high as I'm going to go. That thing's going to be a couple $100 and I can barely fit it in my truck.
Oh, man.
And the other guy just walks away. And the auctioneer's like, there's no more bidders. Like, sold, $35. And then he had the auctioneer help him load it in the truck.
Oh, man.
And then he never unloaded it from his truck. He went home, put it on eBay. And the guy who, there's a word, I know from being down in the Keys a time or two, they call it a conch, Konch. It's a word for a clam.
Okay.
So the guy who bought it from him on eBay, his name was Conch King.
Oh my God.
So this guy's like in the shell business.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, I'll give you $1,000 for it. Or I think my uncle ended up selling it for $3,500. It was worth more than that. I think it was worth $4,000 or $5,000. And he's like, I'll give you $1,000 for it. He's like, no. $3,500 and you pay shipping.
Oh, wow.
And the guy's like, I'll give you $2,000. This guy dragged it on for a couple of weeks, and my uncle never took it out of his truck because it's a couple $100.
Right.
He just drove around with this giant clamshell in the back of his truck, and I think it might have been a month. And the guy's finally like, okay, $3,500. Can you please go to the nearest UPS or whatever it was? He had to go to a UPS or a whatchamajigger and ship it to the guy.
Yeah, wore him down. Oh, wow.
And so my uncle bought a giant clam for $35, sold it for $3,500.
Uncle Mike.
And then my Aunt Laura, she got new appliances.
Yep.
And then he worked a deal on that too.
That's...
They want to overpay.
Next time I'm buying a house or something big, I'm calling him.
Yeah. Oh boy, I can tell you stories about him buying houses too. You can't sit still. So you never know, Liz. You might retire or get unretired. So she says, I know anything's possible in the current environment. What would I do in the situation? I would not file Social Security early. I would try to go towards age 70, provided you're in good health. And I also wouldn't want to file for Social Security while I still have earned income from a job or when I still have Roth conversions potentially to perform. Liz says, should I stick to the plan and collect at age 70 or collect sooner and invest the money? Liz, I already answered your question.
Yeah.
Get on our phone calendar, Liz, or anybody else at tuckerretirement.com. At tuckerretirement.com, you can see our phone calendar and you can schedule yourself right there. We'll spend 15 minutes for free with you over the telephone in the coming week. Get your questions answered in your answers question. Well, you've wasted about 20 minutes or so, more of your perfectly good time listening to the ramblings of a short, bald man, namely yours truly, Scott Tucker. We'll see you on the next episode.
Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. A Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The views and opinions herein are those of Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not subject to investment advisory requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.